Hello, glorious soul. Welcome back to my channel. I am Kelgunta, and this is your Soul Service Astrology update for the week commencing the 11th of October, 2021. I am a 13th sign sidereal astrologer, and I'm the creator of Soul Service Astrology. Soul Service Astrology is a particular technique where I use 13th sign sidereal astrology to help you deeply understand yourself. And the components of that is your strengths and perhaps the challenges and the weaknesses that you face so that you can use them in a much more beneficial way to craft and create your service and your creativity. You tap into them so that you can also then allow the potentiality that is within you start to grow and meet the possibilities that are outside of you. It's like you're a seed and, we crack you open and you start to grow into the tree that you are. And you come back into this ecological flow with the solar system so that you can be your highest version of yourself this lifetime. 13th sign sidereal astrology is astrology based on astronomy. Now, astronomy and astrology are different. I'm not saying they're the same. Astronomy is the measurements and the calculations of our solar system and our universe. At the moment in Western astrology, we refer to where the planets are placed in relation to some constellations on the ecliptic. Tropical astrology bears no reflection to what you can see in the night sky. It is linked primarily to the seasons on the planet. Sidereal astrology refers to where the planets can be observed from here, from now, in relation to the constellations, the Western constellations in the night sky. And that's, if you ask me, we should be observing what we can see in the night sky. So that is 13th sign sidereal astrology. And yes, there is a 13th sign on the ecliptic. It's called Ophiuchus. I'm going to be talking about that today. So if you want to know more about how we could work together, you can go to my website, kellygunter.com, and that link is below. What's happening this week? On beginning the 11th of October, 2021, I'm going to share my screen so that we can journey through the chart together. All right, here's Monday, the 11th of October. The aspect that you can notice, there's not a whole lot happening on Monday, but the main aspect I would say is the square of Neptune to the moon in Ophiuchus. And this sort of sets the scene for the week that's going to be coming in. Neptune is the beacon. It's kind of like a lighthouse. Think about a lighthouse doesn't run around looking for, where am I going to shine my light? The lighthouse just stands there and shines the light out. So it's kind of like a beacon. Beacon just stands there and I shine my light out. Neptune is kind of like the higher mind. So the idea is that we should be just shining our light out and not worrying. So there's the fear, not worrying what other people think, or not worrying that we're hurting other people, or not worrying that, I need to be chasing people down to shine my light on them, right? So the beacon in Aquarius, it wants to shine its vision into the world. It really wants to just let the light shine. It doesn't want to worry about anything. Now, a square in astrology is a worry, is a fear, is a limiting belief that's coming up. Now, with the moon in Ophiuchus, the moon on Monday is a waxing crescent. That has the archetypal energy of an idealist. So when we have this idealist energy in our emotional sphere, we kind of have these hopes and our dreams, and we're really being, we're visioning all these wonderful things that can happen to fill us up emotionally, to fill the void. Because maybe there's things that have happened to us in the past that some external validation really helps fill that up. And we can be a little bit idealistic. So we're wanting to shine our light in the world, but we're maybe being a little bit too idealistic with our thoughts and our feelings. And, maybe if I shine my light over there, I'll get some external validation back and it'll fill me up. And that's kind of, you can hear the shadow in that. You can hear that that's not really what this aspect could allow us to do. By facing that worry or that fear that, one, I need to chase people down to shine my light on them, or two, that I need some kind of external validation to fill me up so that, that people, that I don't think that I'm hurt or wounded, because that's Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is the alchemist, and the alchemist takes their wounds and converts them into a very unique form of healing. So we're all capable of that. But with this aspect, we might be running around and being a little bit idealistic, and seeking that external validation. And you can kind of hear, as I've mentioned, the shadow in that. So how do we work with that energy? Now, the rest of the week is going to allow us to work with that energy. So the idea with noticing a worry or a fear or a limiting belief, and when I say a worry or a fear or a limiting belief, a worry or a limiting belief is a fear, and they usually show up as thoughts. So you're first going to have a thought, and it's going to be an internal thought. So it's kind of like the mean person in your head that's telling you that you're either not good enough, you need to run around and shine your light everywhere. It's like, if you go over there and really show them and be vulnerable and really shine your light over there, you'll get some external validation back. It'll make you feel really good, right? The rest of the week is going to help you process these thoughts and clear them, because we don't want to stay here, because we get stuck in this story. We get stuck in a loop, and our mind doesn't know any different. So I would say this whole aspect on on Monday that comes in, that's going to, it's only here for Monday, but it's kind of setting the scene for the rest of the week, because there are other Ophiuchus and Chiron aspects later in the week. It's setting the scene that maybe there's a little bit of an illusion in your reality. Maybe you are being a little bit unrealistic. So I know that can sometimes be hard for you to look at. So you can do that in private. You don't have to share that with anyone. Okay, so there's some perhaps shadow things that you can go and sort of like, where am I being unrealistic? Where am I seeking external validation? And the rest of the week is going to help you unpack these thoughts. So I would say at the beginning of the week, be cognizant of the thoughts, observe your thoughts. And of course, in the background, we still have Mercury retrograde. So this is a great thing to do. And this has been a wonderful reminder for me when I'm recording this video, is that we really still need to be noticing and observing our thoughts at the moment. All right, let's move to Tuesday. Tuesday the 2nd and, Tuesday the 12th of October. Saturn goes direct. Now, we had Pluto go direct last week, and now we have Saturn going direct. So we are starting to come out of a very heavy retrograde period. And if you're in Australia, like me, you might be noticing that we're starting to come out of the way that Australia decided to handle the pandemic. So we might be starting to, move a little bit more and explore a little bit more. And there might be things that we can do that we haven't been able to do. Maybe if you're in other parts of the world, there's been shifts and changes for you in relation to systems and collectives about how things get done, because that's what Saturn rules, systems. From a personal aspect, how this energy, you can use this energy as Saturn moves forward. Now, Saturn has been in review. Saturn is the leader. So have you checked in with how you desire to lead? Have you checked in with your expertness? Have you done a review? Have you made some changes, cleared out some crap? Okay, I'm not going to focus my attention there. Yep, that part of my methodology goes. No, I'm not going to put that offer out there because that's not really consolidating down my mastery and really focusing my energy on what I'm really good at. It's not zone of excellence, it's zone of genius that Saturn really wants us to be focusing on. And now that Saturn is starting to move forward again, we can start to implement some of those changes. We can start to take some action around those changes. Small steps though, and keep your focus. And there's a reason for that, because we've got Mars and the Sun down here in conjunction, again in another Earth sign in relation to our service. So while this is the main aspect for today, in the background we have this Virgo energy that is asking us with Mercury 1 to do a review of how and what we serve. Look at what we're creating, still be doing, but it's not full steam ahead just yet. It's small, consistent. If there's anything the Earth signs are really good at, if there's anything Earth energy, even if you don't look at astrology and you're listening to me going, what is she talking about? Think about the element of Earth. Earth is very consistent. It uses the information that it's been fed, like think of a seed absorbing the information it's been fed in the soil. It starts to bring those component pieces together, how it knows how to do that. It's in its potential in the seed. And then it starts to sprout and grow. Okay, so it doesn't take anything else that it doesn't need. So with this Mercury retrograde that's in the background, we're reviewing what content we're absorbing. And it's not necessarily just our mind content, it's also our bodily content. So we're reviewing what content we're absorbing in our mind. We're reviewing what content we're absorbing in our body, like a seed. Think of yourself as a seed. And similarly with astrology and the seed as an archetype, I speak acausally with all this, because as above, so below, as within, so without. We are a reflection of the macrocosm and the microcosm. So you can look larger, as in the solar system, and use that archetypal energy to see that reflected in us. That's what sidereal astrology is. Or you can look at the planet and the Earth and its elements and see as above, so below, as within, so without. And you look at the microcosm of the seed in the soil. That's coming back into connection with your ecological self, knowing that you're connected to this planet that way, and then knowing that you're connected to the systems and the cycles within the solar system. And the reason for that is so that you can come and enjoy this life. You can serve yourself, you can serve others, you can serve the planet. And it really is as complicated and as simple as that. There you go, I went off on a little tangent. But that is the background that's happening this week. So overall this week, and before I even get to the rest of the week, I want you to embrace this idea that it's a bit of a miasmic transition week. That maybe that you're still sort of taking steps, but there's still some things that are sort of swirling and need a little bit more reflection and review. So your key superpower this week is to be the observer and the noticer of your thoughts. And because it's that Mercury energy, the way that you can do that without getting too deeply wound up into some kind of story in your mind or a thought or a loop pattern in your mind is to write it down. Just keep writing it down, and to make sure that you allow yourself some space for your mind. And I would recommend, because I've just done that, 11 days, no social media. I would recommend some time off social media each week so that your mind can recalibrate each week. And that's what I intend to do. That was the outcome of me having 11 days off social media. The outcome was that I want to integrate that every single week. No social media for 3 days. It takes a little bit of planning when you're running a business online, but it is doable. All right, so I've spoken to you sort of about the background scene and in relation to what's coming up. So there's no real major aspects on Wednesday and Thursday, but on Friday there is. So First of all, let's look at what's happening with Venus. On Friday, Venus moves into Ophiuchus. So I mentioned to you that there is a little bit of this more Ophiuchus energy coming in, and this builds towards December, when we find November, December, when we find the sun moving into Ophiuchus. So we've got this shift, and Ophiuchus is a very ethereal, ether type energy. It is unexplainable. It's not explainable by words. And with Venus moving in there, I ask you to feel into this space. This is you feeling with your body, your creativity, your desires and sensuality and your values, and just feeling. And perhaps you're creating something, and that, you know, that comes through there, but it's kind of like you're skipping the mind. So this is over the next couple of weeks, as Venus will stay in Ophiuchus for approximately 2 weeks. It's just journeyed through Scorpio, where perhaps you went into the underworld a little bit. Perhaps you felt like you were a little bit cocooned for a week. You hunted some shadows. Maybe you felt some things in your body that needed to change and shift. Now, Venus has two archetypal aspects in sidereal astrology. One is of the regenerator, and 2 is of the connector. As Venus moves into Ophiuchus, it is the regenerator. They move into there to go in and then to come out. So if you look at the archetypal flow from Scorpio into Ophiuchus, Scorpio goes hunting in the underworld, but then they come out and they're a little bit vulnerable. So you might be feeling a little bit vulnerable. So this is a time to just feel into that space, write anything down, because again, Mercury is still retrograde, and allow yourself to assimilate any information you're receiving from the ether. There is a bug right in my face. Welcome to summer in Australia. So there is that in the background, and that starts happening on Friday. In line with, we have Jupiter up here, still retrograde, trine the Sun and Mars conjunct down here in Virgo. So trine is a nicer energy, right? It is a flow. There is an ease. Jupiter is our ideas of expansion, our dreams, our hopes, our wishes. And in Capricorn, they're towards our mastery and our expertness. So you probably have something that you've maybe worked towards and created, and I call this your expertness, your mastery. There's something that you're working towards, and you have hopes and dreams for them. So again, there's that little bit of that feeling of that idealist. Now, Jupiter is still retrograde up until the 19th of October. So again, there's just a gentle, I don't want to say warning, but a gentle acknowledgement that you do want to use this earth energy, and this should be easier towards the back end of the week, to just check in and make sure that you're not falling for illusions, to check in. Are they really the dreams and the ideals that I want to pursue? Is that the dream that I want to bring this to life? Because once once Jupiter goes direct, it will be moving into Aquarius, and then that will be really expanding into our vision, right? So now we're laying the groundwork. We're looking at our philosophical beliefs. We usually have a philosophy that drives our core methodology in our service-based business, or perhaps you have a product-based business, and you have hopes and dreams, right? So we want to lay the foundation. We're laying the foundation here. We're making sure this is right, and we've cleared out any clutter, and we're consolidating, really stepping into that leadership. And then when Jupiter moves into Aquarius, it's going to be really calling in and sharing that vision far and wide with your community and the collective, right? So can you hear in the background, there is still this, yes, I can be taking some action, I can be doing some things, but it's not full steam ahead yet. There's still some review and some reflection. Now, this energy is feeding down nicely to the creator with the doer. And I would normally say Mars is like the warrior, but Mars also has that energy of, I want to do, I want to act, right next to the sun. It's like, come on, let's get our creativity out there. Let's, share it in our service. Let's do this thing. It's not far away from Mercury though. So as I said, there is this wonderful flow for you to take some time, and maybe you're creating something in the background and you're not sharing it yet. So that's certainly what I'm doing. There's sort of ideas flowing and I'm creating and doing things, and it's definitely serving me because I like doing that. I'm thinking it will serve the people in my community, but I just want to test it out a bit. I just want to see if that's the direction that I want to go in. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, right? So with this Jupiter energy, you can test things out. And with this Mercury retrograde energy, test things out. You don't have to commit to things yet. All right? So that's Friday. Let's have a look at Saturday. Saturday the 16th. Again, we have some oppositional energy from Chiron. Now, not again, I shouldn't say again, because of course you're not aware that Chiron is linked to Ophiuchus. So there is that alchemist energy that is coming in with Chiron opposite Mercury, and both these celestial bodies are retrograde, okay? So Chiron is the wounded healer, but it's in the sign of the mystic. So we're being called to step into that concept of ether that I mentioned before, and that ethereal nature that is part of us but is not privileged in our current Western society. So I'm asking you to go there. And what I want to suggest to you is that you are never not broken, right? So you may have been broken, and pretty much everyone has. Everyone's got baggage, right? Everyone's carrying around baggage. It's what you choose to do with that baggage that makes a difference. Now, you might be feeling a little bit vulnerable to share what is really, to share your spirituality, to share your mysticism with the world, right? Oh, what are people going to think of me? They're going to think I'm woo-woo, blah, da, 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 all that sort of stuff. There's this real vulnerability to it. But if you lead your spirituality, if you lead your mysticism with the concept of that, one, everyone has baggage, and two, if I've already been broken and am broken, how can anyone break me anymore? And do I really want to lead the rest of my life being worried about what people think of me, or do I want to feel myself have that potentiality to expand into this unknown, to see what was there? There's so many ancient systems that are giving us clues to what is and what can be. And there's an awakening. We're coming back to those things. So I really encourage you to explore and go there. Then on the other opposite end of that, of course, we have our thoughts and our mind. Now, this is oppositional energy. So there might be a bit of flip-flopping between the two. So we started the week out with some fears, worries, limiting beliefs around, perhaps I'm looking for external validation, maybe, I forget what the other one I said because I've said so much since the beginning, but that external validation. So what can happen with this aspect that comes in at the end of the week is that you might sit on either end of the seesaw, because an opposition is a seesaw. So you might be flip-flopping. You go into the ether and you listen to your alchemical and spiritual nature, and it's wonderful over here. And then all the while over here, Mercury's going, well, how is she going to integrate that into me? How is she going to integrate that into her human, or their human self? Oh, she's hanging out there so much. And so you're not sort of integrating that into your mind, because of course we have to integrate the higher mind with the lower mind, and we have to integrate it's kind of like nurture the wounded healer within ourselves, that it's okay, that you're not going to be hurt again. And even if you were, you've now got the tools and the know-how to help yourself. And that's the idea of the alchemist. So alternatively, you could be stuck up here in your head. Lots of worries, lots of thoughts, things buzzing around. So to reiterate what I've said over this whole video is that observe your thoughts, notice what's going on this week, and allow yourself some time and space to switch off. And by switching off, I mean switching off and being really conscious of the content that you are consuming. That's your responsibility. That's being a sovereign being, not letting the external world control your internal world. And that's how you can work with this energy this week. The final aspect for the week, which is on Sunday the 17th, is an aspect that we've had over the last couple of months pop up. Actually, the last month pop up a number of times because Pluto was retrograde, but now it's going forward again. So of course it's gone over, and of course the sun has moved. So we find ourselves back with a Pluto square the sun. Pluto is the destroyer in Sagittarius, it's the liberator. Pluto wants to destroy the beliefs that are holding us back so that we can liberate and step into our fullness. Step into deep faith, step into deep trust, that we can expand into our fullness this lifetime. This is, again, more limiting beliefs holding us back. What is holding you back from sharing your creativity with the world? So again, we have that feeling that we're reviewing. Now, we have had this aspect before. So what are some previous limiting beliefs that have come up? Have you dealt with them? Have you dealt with them? Now is the time to really let them go if they're holding you back. So I'll give you an example. The limiting belief I've had over the last month was my service, Virgo, is not valuable unless it's paying me. And therefore, nobody wants it, right? That's not very helpful if you're a creator and putting the things that you create into the ether to serve. They serve me. But I'm like, well, they're obviously not serving anyone else because I'm not making the money that I want to make from them. So that is a limiting belief that's holding me back from serving to my fullness, from really ripping that off and letting my philosophy fly and really stepping into that liberator to liberate myself from anything that's holding me back to then allow others to be transformed. So what do I do about that? So I've revealed to you, I've been vulnerable on this post, I've revealed to you a limiting belief that I've been having over the last month that has come up for me. The new belief that I'm programming is that I'm focusing on the value and the transformation that my service brings to me and thus my clients. And my service is needed and valuable. It doesn't matter at this point if I'm not being remunerated for it. Others might simplify that fear or limiting belief down to I'm not enough or I'm not good enough. So check in with yourself. Do you have that belief as well? It's a very common one. And so like I said, all this week, your superpower lies in your ability to be aware of the thoughts and the feelings that you're having, to note them down, to sit with them, to go off and let the ether perhaps feed and feel into those limiting beliefs, and then to reprogram them. And how do we reprogram them? It might be the direct opposite of what you're saying to yourself. It might be finding evidence where you've done it before and allowing yourself to step into the belief of, I've done this before, I can do it again. And allowing yourself to step more and more into the feeling state that you've experienced before, where you have achieved. You have shifted that belief. You have stepped into your vulnerability and you haven't been hurt more. So you can look for previous evidence to fuel your growth into the future. So bring your alchemy into service and curate your energy and your thoughts, beliefs, and let yourself fly. So that is the sidereal astrological landscape this week. If you do want to hang out with me a bit more, there are two spaces that I like to hang out on a daily basis. The first one is I have a free Facebook group called Sidereal Stars with Kel. You can find the link down below to join that group. I would love to have you in there. There's daily posts that go up, and I do at least 2 lives a month, and the plan is to be doing a few more fun special things in there over the next couple of months because I really want to nurture that space. Alternatively, you can sign up to my mailing list. If you don't want to miss any of these weekly updates, then please sign up to my mailing list, and that is on the link below as well. So have a glorious week, and I hope to see you somewhere on the internet. Bye.